Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And I'm Callie, also known as Calsters.
And today is Saturday, June 20th, 2015. This is episode 215. 2015? 215. Anyway, if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more week. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed today's show and you'll come back in the future. Well, it's the week before ZK. It's kind of crazy here, so we might be a little discombobulated today, but I think it'll be okay. I think we'll get through it together. So, quick week in review. It's been a boring, kind of crazy week. I don't know how else to explain it. A lot of show prep for ZK. Callie can attest to this, overflowing with yarn. It's everywhere in our dining room. It's completely taken over, so we pretty much have doubled our normal inventory that we usually have, so, and we're still going, because we've got to prep for SSK and mainly for stitches, so to have a lot of stuff ready to go when we get back, because there's not a lot of time in between now and SSK, and then SSK and stitches, so, but nothing really new. I didn't leave the house too much. Told Callie, the corn dog, Cornelius, our little one who's around here somewhere, he is getting a taste for wool. This first couple weeks we had him, he snuck off with a couple skeins of self-striping yarn, which is on one of the bottom shelves behind me, but he did no damage. Well, I was in the shower one day and I was like, boy, he's not around, and then Ernest I saw through the slit in the curtain. He came and laid down, and I was actually like talking to him. I was like, "Hey, buds, what's going on? What you doing?" He just looked at me like, "It's not me. I'm in here. You see me." Well, by the time I got, dried off, dressed and everything, I came back in the office. He had about 7 skeins, corn dog did, of self-striping all over the office. Tore off all the labels, chewed them up. Luckily, didn't do any yarn damage. Kind of, made a little mess of some of the skeins, but nothing that's unbearable. But then later on that day or the next day, he got a skein of Aran weight of jeans yarn and tore the label off of that, and I was so upset, but it didn't ruin it. Well, then he took that same skein later in the week and chewed through the yarn in a couple spots, so I'm hoping I can do some skein surgery, but I don't know. Corn dog is getting fixed this week when we drop him off at the vet, because our vet kennels, so we'll be kenneling him while we're at ZK. So we're like, can you just do all that while he's there? And they're like, we absolutely can. I was like, yes. So I've heard that his not listening to us and some of his other things might subside with that procedure. So we'll see. There's something else I wanted to tell you, and I don't remember what it was. Oh well, must not have been too important. I'm sure it'll come back to me.
My week's been really crazy. I'm trying to get ready for having this upcoming week off. I'm sorry if I seem a little bit not so peppy. I just got back, literally. We did a lock-in with our teen members. It went really well, but there was no scheduled sleep, as with lock-ins go. And so I was up from 6:30 a.m. Yesterday morning till technically all the way through about 9:30, and then I took an hour and 20-minute nap. Got up, showered, and came over here, so I'm still running on not so much sleep. It was good. The kids were good. They had a lot of fun. No one got hurt. They were well behaved. Our office is about 2.5 blocks away from a Steak and Shake, which is a restaurant. I don't know how wide their chains go. I counted up while I was sitting there this morning that we have 4 in Bloomington Normal alone. There's 2 in Bloomington and 2 in Normal. So it's just a hamburger and shake kind of place, kind of your traditional diner fare food. So we walked there at 2:30 this morning, and had milkshakes. We called ahead. I had over 30 milkshakes ready for us, so that was really impressive. And so we did that. We played dodgeball, and on the last game this morning, I threw the winning hit, and that was great.
Hashtag winning.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, the kids definitely do not hold back by any means. And since we had about 30, like I said, that meant that there was 15 on each team. So it took a long time for kids to get out, or, for it come down to the final countdown. So that was good. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. It went really well. And that's my last work event for the next week. So I'm really excited. My travel plans have changed slightly for this. My mom and I are going out to Walnut Grove, Minnesota, to see the Laura Ingalls Wilder homestead. So Steve, Andy, and Andy's mom, my mom, and I will not be traveling together. Mom and I will already be in Minnesota by the time that they are there. So I might be at the retreat a little bit earlier. We're kind of still discussing final things, but I know that we're going to be hitting up Walnut Grove, so I'm really excited because I'm a huge fan of Laura Ingalls Wilder, and I've been to 2 of her other homesteads. So
nice.
Yeah, it's good. I liked the books when I was younger, and I enjoyed the television show, even though some of the things did not follow the timeline of the books. And they were there way longer than when they should have been, so. But yeah, those are all good things to look forward to.
Alright, knitting. What's taking a bow this week? I have 2 finished objects. I told you last week that if I really would have focused and honed in, I could have had 2 more. Well, these are the 2 that I could have finished. And I really didn't focus on them. They were just that close that I could do that. So, you'll probably notice I'm wearing the Neon Beast by Vera Valimaki. This was knit out of Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the Dirty Panther, Edison Bulb, and Button Jar Blue. Just dropped my yarn ball. I had my ball laying in my lap. What can I say? Sorry. So it came out very nice. I've blocked it, everything. It's kind of bohemian huge. As most people would say, it's a behemoth. So, I like it a lot. It's very soft. It opened up. I didn't pin it or anything. I just let it drape over my blocking board because it's that big. That good deal of it was laying over the blocking board. So I'm excited, and I think it works with this shirt and a couple other ones that I have. So I'm planning on bringing it to ZK so that I can wear it. And I don't even tuck the ends under because they're so big that I just let them flounce. And the more you fuss with it, the worse it looks. So it's better to just look disheveled and let it hang, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing I finished, and this was on size 6s, by the way, 4mm. The second thing I finished is the Joyful hat by Megan Williams. I used Leading Men Fiber Arts Showcase in the Venetian Sunset colorway. It's not as neon, it's the lighting, but you have all drapes close in here, it's still that bright. So I really enjoyed the construction. I really like the brim. I don't know if it sits on my head that well, only because I'm a rather large, extra large head, and I made the medium-sized hat, so I'm hoping it'll fit Callie a little bit better for pictures here after we record. But it was a very interesting construction where you hold the yarn singly. I've told you this before, you knit the inside of the brim, so you have this nice cushy stockinette on the inside, but then you do this lace panel, welt and tuck so that it's not, no breeze is going through that lace, and then you hold the yarn doubled and it just zooms up the body of the hat. I thought the decreases were very interesting as well, a different type of decrease. So I'll put it on I won't make Callie do it right now, but it's got a little bit of slouch, but the brim just kind of rolls. I don't know if it's a little bit of an excess stockinette in there or because it's so tight on my head, which is not that tight. But so this is going to be a shop sample in our booth at ZK. If you're going, you can see it in person, or if you're going to any of our future events, you'll be able to see it in person, at least for this year. We're at the point where we're going to need to start getting rid of some shop samples because we have too many. So stuff that's been around since the beginning is going to start going to the wayside, and newer samples are going to be taking its place. So, and this was done on size, I want to say 2.5 and 5 US, which is 3 and 3.75 millimeters. So that's that. And I just blocked this flat, hence why it's so perfectly flat like this. So that's that. That's all I finished.
I have no finished objects.
Let you clean this one. Okay. Do you want to go with your works in progress first?
Sure. You will not see a whole lot of progress. This week I kind of dedicated myself to basically reading a ton for my reading challenge, and I'll talk about that later. But I did get 2 stripes done on my baby blanket. So I am about this far into it. I'm going to go with the stripes until I run out of the color yarn. And I was in the middle of the row, clearly.
I like your color choice. I was a little iffy in the beginning. I was like, I don't know. But I think it's playing out well.
I like it. I actually, there's a lot of things that I had in the 90s when I was a child that were these colors, so that's kind of why
some
I went
windbreakers and parachute pants?
Possible. I had a windbreaker that was about these colors.
Who did not have windbreakers in the 90s? Come on. That
Let's
was like
be
a
real honest.
staple of your wardrobe.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, I had like probably 2 windbreakers in these colors.
And I don't know about you, but I was all excited when it was cinched in around the waist and you had the nice blousing going on. It's all about the blousing with the windbreakers and the hoodies.
That's done in Barocco Vintage in a variety of colors. And I'm using size 7 US needle. The other thing I'm working on is my dishcloth. I'm trying to use up all of my dishcloth cotton. It's Grandma's favorite dishcloth. And I had bought this in a sale. You know, like it was a whole bag of cotton dishcloth yarn. This is about like 4 of those skeins. It's now not so much 4, it's more like 3-ish, but I've tried to use this down, and I just cannot wait until it's out of my stash. It's very pretty and all, but they did Russian joins for all of the skeins instead of doing them individually, which would have been great if they would have done that, but they didn't. So I'm excited to basically get all of my dishcloth cotton gone. So those are the only 2 things I'm actively working on.
Oh. The 4 things for me, the first thing is the Norris sweater by Pam Powers out of local alpaca that's been mill spun to a worsted weight that we dyed in our royalty colorway. Hopefully I only need to say that for hopefully one more time. We'll see.
Maybe this is the last time.
Well, I'll have to say it when it's finished. But, yeah. I am working on the collar. It's all been seamed and everything. I just got to do the collar around. You do it up to the middle front or middle back. Do the other side. 3 needle bind it off and seam it on, and it's done. So I measured after 1 pattern repeat of the collar, and I thought I needed to do 6. Well, here's where I was last week. I know it doesn't seem like much, but and I did 5.5, and I thought this morning I was going to finish off the last half, and I was like, I should probably lay out the sweater and just get an idea, and it's about where it needs to be. So I'm like, I can make it work, either stretch it or, it's pretty much where it needs to be. It needs to go around right here, which is not just a straight line, so that may play into things, but again, it's wool, it's alpaca, so it'll stretch. So there's that, and then right before Callie got here, literally as she was attempting to pull in our driveway, even though there's no parking anymore due to the trailer, I did half a repeat on the first or the second side. So that should go. I've got the pattern pretty much down, not memorized by any means. It's a 36 row repeat, so but I don't need to look at every there's like 6 different cables in it. I don't need to look at them now. I have that down. The second thing I'm working on is a test knit, and again, I can't show it to you, but it's coming along. I told you it's for Paula Emmons Feasley of Knitting Pipeline fame. I can tell you, because she does her lovely charts that tell you the percentage that you have done. I am over 50% of the way done, so that's good. I know that with my yarn, it should come out to be a little bit bigger than originally planned for, but again, this is going to be our SSK colorway this year, but it'll be up in the shop afterwards and whatnot. I'm not going to tell you the name because it relates to the pattern, but I will show it to you again. So it's a fun speckled dye. It's grays with hints of teal and these dark blackish purplish gray flecks. So I'm getting into the flecking yarn, just warning you. So that's that, and oh, I forgot to bring up July's colorway of the month. Anyway, sorry. So we have test games done of that. We need to actually get everything dyed up like today and tomorrow, because by the time we get back, it's going to be the day before July. So I'm working on that. That's great. That's going along fantabulously. I had told Callie I had a lovely conversation with Paula yesterday on the phone to discuss how things are going to roll out at SSK. So if you're going, make sure you listen to Knitting Pipeline or look at her boards, and I'll be able to share the information with you once I've got the okay from Paula. So the third thing I'm working on are the algae socks. These are just some plain vanilla stockinette socks. Out of self-striping. This is out of Vesper, Knitterly Things Vesper sock yarn in the algae colorway, and I did a good deal of work on these. You can see from my Dickadoo, I was on the cuff when we last spoke, and I just, before we hit the record button, put in, you can't see it, it's not very contrasty, but I put in the contrast yarn to do an afterthought heel. I was debating, and I was like, well, actually an afterthought heel is going to be easier to work on during the show, so I'm using my size 1.5 US 2.5 millimeter signature DPNs. This is my first project on them. I told Kelly I don't know if my stitches are as even. I don't know if it's DPNs. I don't know if it's the yarn, because it's a crisper yarn. It's not the softest thing, but they're going, and I'm getting used to them. They have that slight texture on the needle. I mean, you can barely tell, but I don't know if that slows down. It gives a little more grip to the needle. So is what it is. But I'm enjoying it. There's a few color, I don't know if you can see there. I mean, that happens in self-striping, but, you know, where you get a couple stitches of white undyed, which is a little disappointing, but there's a reason why I don't do self-striping either, so that's that. The last thing I'm working on, I cast on a new project because I finished the Neon Beast. So I used my random number generator on my stash, because again, everything has a project. And the stash that came up was actually some stash that I acquired in New York City when we were on vacation there for the New Year. And this is Ancient Art Fiber Crafts. There's 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon sock in the Intuit Art colorway. And it's quite pretty. It's, again, not the softest thing in the world. It'd be really good for socks, I think. But so the pattern that I paired up with this is called the Antarctis by Janina Kallio. It's Antarktis. And guess what? It's a boomerang. But it's got some eyelets and things in it, so here's how it's knitting up thus far.
Nice.
So you can see I did an eyelet section, and I just got started. This is on size 6 US 4mm on my signatures. Really, those are the only two pairs of signatures I had, the DPNs and this. But what's interesting is she actually writes into the pattern the knit one yarn over and then do the row, and then you drop that yarn over on the row back, so it gives it this really stretchy side, which I know a lot of people put into the color affection, so it's not too rigid. So she says it will grow a lot, so it's great for that perfect one skein of fingering weight that you don't know what to do with. So that's been fun. This will be going with me to ZK. I think it might actually be a quick knit, so I gotta plan my projects. I've been thinking about it, but again, I always overpack, and I'm sure this will be no different, right? You're like, you don't need to bring that much. You're not going to finish that. But I'm like, what if I finish my self-striping socks? What if I finish this? I gotta have something on the ready. So that's all that I am working on this week. What's in rehearsal for me coming up? I don't know. I don't know if I might do a quick project from my stash before I take on the next commission. It just depends on when I can pass off that sweater when it's done, and what's next on the needles for them. So we'll see. And that's about it. I am going to cast on a sockhead hat out of our Showstopper base in the Reconditioned Punishment colorway. I had a skein that got a little bit short due to
knots.
Yeah, it decided to between the skein winder and the Swift. So I was like, I'll take it, and then a sample out of it. So I'll be working on that at the retreat as well. So that's about it for me.
I have nothing planned other than working on the baby blanket for most of this trip, because since I will be driving some but not all of the way, I will have more knitting time, and since we're leaving earlier, then I'll have more. So
A baby blanket is going to be done next time you see her.
I hope so. I mean, like, I'm just getting bored with it, and I'm kind of just done.
That's where, like, my process of multiple projects I think would be beneficial to you. I know you want to focus on it, but you might actually get more work done if, like, you cast on a sockhead or a boomerang and you're like, okay, I'm going to do 3 sets of knit back and forth, set it down, then I'll work on the baby blanket for this much. And then that's kind of what I do. I set patterns and I rotate through things. But again, that's my OCD brain. It's not for everyone. I get that. All right, behind the scenes, spinning. I finished spinning. I'm surprised I got this much done, but I was like, I need a down and dirty spin because I need another skein of hand spun in the booth at ZK. I wanted at least 4, and I've got that, so I spun up some Leading Men Fiber Super Sock, which is 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon. It was a one-off colorway that Andy did up for me, that I called Incapacitated Hustle. And it was pinks, greens, and whites, and I spun it into 2-ply fractal, and I got a worsted weight of 188 yards, and I really liked it. And it looks a lot more even plied up than it did as singles. I was like, oh no, but so I was happy with it. So I got that done in like 3 days. It was crazy fast. So then I was going to try to get through another skein of hand spun out of my stash to have with me at the show, but instead I felt obligated, so I was like, no, I need to do another braided commission spinning, and so I started some Frabjous Fiber Opulence blend, which, let me tell you, I've never spun anything this highfalutin before. Listen to this blend. 30% superfine merino, 30% Tessa silk, 20% baby camel down, and 20% royal baby alpaca.
Royal.
So it is very soft. I finished the first 2 ounces last night, and it is spinning very thin. It'll be a light fingering, if not lace weight, I think, when it is done. It's lots of greens and purples. Surprise, the person I commissioned spin for, they like green and purples. I've noticed this now. It only took me several braids in to realize that. But they love their greens and purples. So this is the Iris colorway. I think I forgot to say that. And I'm started the second 2 ounces. I'm fractally spinning this into a 2-ply. You can see lovely green, golds, and purples. It is very nice to spin with. Like I said, I didn't think it'd go that fast because I wanted to spin very, very thin. So hopefully that'll be done to show you on the next recording. Again, the person I'm spinning for is going to be at ZK, but this will not be done by ZK, let alone washed and thwacked and all that stuff. So you'll see it one more time. In the spotlight, what are we watching and reading? I am watching The Killing. I am in season 4 now, and there's only like 4 more episodes left in the series that I get to watch. I did catch up on Wayward Pines, but they're taking this week off. And, I forgot to add one. I started a new series called Proof on TNT. It's about a doctor and a very, very rich man, kind of like Bill Gates, kind of rich, and he finds out he's dying, and that he wants this doctor to find out what happens after death. Not that he's scared of death; he just wants to know. He doesn't like surprises. He says, and she is very much against anything being after death. So he says, if you can find anything, then I know. If you find proof, then I know I can believe you. So he says, pretty much you'll get my net worth for research and medical aid, which is $10 billion once I die, if you give me legitimate proof. So I thought it sounded interesting. It's produced by Kira Sedgwick, so I enjoyed that. I did watch Carrie, the new movie. Did not care for it. Had Julianne Moore as the mother, and I couldn't tell you anybody else, but didn't really care for it. I thought it was poorly done, so that's just my opinion. I am listening to Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty, and I think I told you last week it's set in England, Great Britain. It's not, it's Australia. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting into it. It's a little like soccer mom murder mystery, but you're getting to know a little bit more about the characters and the kind of secrets behind their lives and things like that. And it's just hard for me to connect. I don't have kids. I'm not a mom. I'm not in my 40s, so. But
yet.
I'm listening to it. Yet. Not in my 30s yet either.
Close.
Closer than I'd like to admit. So, that's it for me this week.
I've read 3 books this week. I finished The Glass Castle by Jeanette Wallace. I posted on Instagram that I had really mixed feelings about this book. I think the writing is superb. I think it was very well done. I don't agree with all of the things that her parents did and the choices that they made, but they made her who she is, and I think it's worth a read. If you have not read it, I highly recommend it. Just know that going in, there's some difficult spots in the book that at one point I felt that I was going to give up on the book because I was so angry at what her dad did that I couldn't even believe what I was reading. And that happened multiple times, but one time in specific, and it involves pool. So if you have read that book, that's where I was like, I cannot believe a parent would ever do this to their child. If you haven't read it yet, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you get to that part. I also read a book off of my Goodreads account that I had wanted to read for a while, and it's called One Crazy Summer by Rita Williams Garcia, and I think it's really good. It's about Delphine and her sisters Bonetta and Fern, and they had to California to live with their mom for a summer, and they learn about the Black Panthers and kind of learn more about their mom. I thought it was really well done overall. I thought that the ending, though, was a little tacked on. I just I wasn't totally convinced that their mom would be changed all that much by the end, but I still highly recommend it. And even if I felt that it was a little tacked on, it wasn't a huge character jump. I just didn't think that in the amount of time of the book spent getting to know her, that I felt that it was plausible. But I also read the sequel to it, and it's called PSB11, also by Rita Williams Garcia. And this one, I thought it was a little bit more touches on home topics, especially with soldiers coming home from Vietnam, the phenomenon that was Jackson 5, and just being in junior high. So I really enjoyed that. And she just released a new one this April, and it's about going to their grandmother's house in Alabama. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on a copy of that. My local library didn't have the second book, so they also do not have the third book. The library, I go to the Bloomington Public Library because I personally don't like our head librarian and her choices for our my hometown library. And they have books 1 and 2, but they don't have 3 yet. So I don't know. They have a bookmobile, and I'm curious if is going to be on that before it heads to the main circulation. So that's what I'm reading. I also started Girl on the Train, and it is kind of, I read the first chapter and I'm kind of like,
Really? I was thinking about getting it on Audible.
I don't know. For me, I read the first chapter and it was Rachel's perspective, and I just really have a hard time identifying with characters that just don't do anything for themselves. I get it. You had a breakup with your boyfriend and now you're an alcoholic, and I understand times are tough, but like, get it together. That's my point. Like, I don't know. I'm not really sympathetic just quite yet. It's told in a couple of different voices, so I might be more interested in other voices than in Rachel's portion of the story, so I'm hoping it gets better, at least for me. And I also started The Miniaturist, and I can't remember who that's by, but that is also kind of a slug to read through, so I'm hoping my momentum does not quit.
You've been a pretty voracious reader these past few weeks.
Yeah. So I've got 21 more books to read. So by December 31st at 11:59 p.m.
Do you have any stash enhancement, my dear?
I do not.
We're going to a retreat in a week. Could potentially do some damage. I need to rein it in now, let me tell you. Callie doesn't. She's been waiting for this.
I don't know. I was telling Steve last week before we sat down to record that I was trying to upload my stash onto Ravelry and just kind of, looking at what I have and kind of forgot what I have. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be making big purchases. But I will buy yarn. I just don't know to what extent, if I will be making a haul per se. I think it's good to keep things in perspective, and especially with me, I like to have projects with my yarn in mind.
I actually thought about selecting like 3 things from my queue that
are not paired with a project or a yarn.
And again, using my random number generator because I like that. I like the spontaneity of it. But then going in and having the project requirements with me and saying, okay, these are what I can get yarn for. So that at least sets a goal and a limit and automatically pairs it with something.
Yeah.
Fiber, on the other hand, it's gonna become yarn. That's not all of it. There's a whole box of it up there, too. That's my stash. Anyway, we have a book to review for you. We're not going to review it this week, and it probably won't happen even in 2 weeks when we get back from ZK, because we'll have the whole ZK recap. But I must tell you, I'm really excited. Again, it's from Cooperative Press, and I don't remember. Oh, it's like the Color Wheel. I don't know. Something with color, but it's in the. It's a new release or an English release of a Vera Balamaki book, and I queued probably 75% of the patterns, and there's like 20 patterns in the book. You will laugh at us trying to pronounce the names, but there are some beautiful sweaters for men and women, accessories. There's even some kids knits in there. I didn't queue any of those because I don't have any kids, but so.
I have not had a chance to look at it, so on top of preparing to leave for a week from work, we have not had internet at work. So it has been very difficult to get all of the things I need to get done in anticipation of finishing this week's work as well as next week's work. So, can't wait. But it is what it is.
Alright, a round of applause. Our lace knit-along is going on, but it's coming to a close very soon.
Yep, it will close on June 30th. Your project must have been started on April 1 or after. It can be any type of lace, as long as there's some yarn overs, knit two togethers, or whatever. It can be done in any weight of yarn. You can get 2 entries into the drawing, 1 for the lace pattern, and 2 if you use any base of Leading Men Fiber Arts, but that's the only way you can get 2 entries for the same project. You must be a member of the group and post in the Finished Objects Only thread, and we will draw a winner the following weekend of the 30th, which I believe will be
our next recording.
Yes.
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Sarah Abram, who's a wonderful Chicagoland designer, has generously given us a coupon code for any of her lace patterns in honor of the Lace Knit-Along to get 30% off of her patterns. And you can use the coupon code DramaticLace2015. She has a wonderful bundle of all of her lace patterns. You can use it on one, all, multiple. And I've linked to that in our show notes, which can be found at dramaticknits.com. So thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. I also want to just give a heads up for our next knit-along from July, August, September, and October. We will be doing a sweater cowl. It has to be started on or after July 1, but if you would like to purchase your yarn or dig some up from your stash and swatch, that does not count against you, especially if you need to increase the number of skeins you need to purchase to accommodate your gauge, which we would highly recommend doing, unlike some people that don't ever do a gauge.
I do sometimes. It's for me.
So anywho, just want to make sure that you guys know about that, going to any upcoming festivals and or retreats. Also, you can put in a custom order with Steve and Andy for any base and color that you want for your sweater, if you would like. Steve and I both are offering as prizes a sweater quantity, and there's good prizes. So, yay!
Get to canoodling in your brain. What you gonna knit?
Especially if you're going to Rhinebeck, this would be a great incentive to have it done before October. We are counting October in there because in case if you squeak by.
And you want a little bit of that cooler weather.
Yeah.
We understand starting a sweater in July. We understand, but we wanted to give you 4 months.
Yeah.
And July, August, keep it at the yoke. Maybe do a sleeve by itself, depending on your sweater.
Oh, and also for the sweater to count, it has to be an adult sweater. It cannot be a youth sweater.
Does it have to have sleeves? I'm sure we're going to get that question, so.
Yes.
Callie's
I feel like if
the queen of knit-alongs this year. The queen of our knit-alongs.
Yeah, I feel like if there is no sleeves, then that would be a vest.
That's true.
Or a pullover.
Doesn't have to be a lot. It can be cap sleeves.
Yeah.
But okay, we do want to tell you to enter all your finished objects for the month of June into our June 2015 Race to the Finished Object Contest. We have some beautiful black sparkly yarn as one of our prizes, and the other prize will be a design or a pattern from our featured designer, who is Sarah Abram. And we'll show off July's prizes on our next podcast when we record in 2 weeks. So that is that. I think that's all for our regularly scheduled show. If you're going to be at ZK, come say hi. I mean, we're going to be there for several days. You should know Callie is very approachable, and she will approach you. I am a little more introverted, whether you think that or not. It's that initial conversation. I've set a goal for myself to try to push myself outside those boundaries, but Callie knows how I get. It's something I don't particularly like about myself, but she's seen me when I've tried to push those barriers, and I get very uncomfortable, to the point where I get uncomfortable and then I retreat and I don't want to talk to anybody because I'm trying to push myself too far. A lot of you understand that. I'm realizing through podcasting, and I've been to a lot of events now. A lot of you are like that. Now, you give me something to talk about. We've got an agenda for the podcast every week. I've got stuff to talk about. I've got a curriculum in the classroom. You catch me at a show where I'm vending, I've got the yarn to talk to you about and patterns and things. I'm very talkative at that point. But if you just want to start a conversation, I get like, ugh. So, warning right now, I suffer from RBF. Callie can too. Which stands for resting bleep face. So if I look like I'm tipped off,
Perturbed.
yeah, perturbed. Most of the time I'm not. I'm just thinking in my head about how I should be talking to people, and I'm sitting at a table by myself. So, just putting that out there.
I will also say that I get hangry very easily.
She did today.
I did.
She walked in and I was just like, you need to eat. And I went out on the porch and sat out there for a few minutes to let her eat.
To be honest, I have not ate since 2:30 this morning. So I had a grilled cheese sandwich at Steak and Shake while everybody else was having shakes. Because I kind of figured that would not be good. So anywho, I'm sorry in advance if you see my hangry come out. It's not you. It's me.
Are we going to be both living off of Starbucks? Do you like yourself some Starbucks?
I like Starbucks, and actually that was pretty much the only thing that kept me awake, because I have a Trinta Orange Valencia Refresher addiction. And that, my friends, is made with green coffee.
Or green tea.
No, it's green coffee extracts. Grounds, whatever. So anywho, I'm addicted to those, and they are caffeine boost. So I had one at 5 yesterday, and it kept me all the way up until 9:30 this morning. So
I'm going to be living off of venti iced caramel macchiatos, because there is a Starbucks in our hotel. It's not where we're going to be hanging out. That's in a joint hotel, but last year they gave us 10% off too with our little badge. So I lived off of those. I'll be living off of those again. All right, is that it for our normally scheduled show?
Yes, I look forward to meeting you all.
If you're going to be there. If you're not, again, we're sorry.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll see us at something. A lot of people want us to venture, not just for the business, but us to venture out more. It's just hard. There's a lot of great things around us, so it's harder to be like, oh, we're going to go do this. And a lot of things that don't work into my schedule being a teacher. I don't know if Ryan Beck ever will.
And for me to travel, I mean, it's lucky that I get to go to ZK because it's during the summer and it's fair time. It's lucky that I got the day off for Nashville for SSK if I do end up going. And we were not selected for the national audit, so that was really exciting to hear. But my boss did get selected for the national audit, but our unit did not, so solid on that one.
So, until 2 weeks from now, when we'll talk a lot about ZK, but there'll be sketch enhancement and lots of progress on knitting and chit chat, and I'm sure we'll be goofy, off the yarn fumes. But until 2 weeks, if you would leave us now, we'll see you later. But I have a few things I quickly want to mention about Lineament Fiber Art, so let's transition into center stage. I did get an email right before we started recording asking about the ZK colorway, Don't You Know, that I shared before, and asking if that colorway will be open to the public after the retreat. It most definitely will be. You could always put in a custom order after we get back for it. It'll slowly be showing up in different bases. Whatever we have left over, we will be putting up in the shop. We had also mentioned that we would be putting up the specialty items like fiber, sock blanks, ingredient kits when we get back in between shows. I think right now our plan is to do that in between ZK and SSK. I'm not sure if we will be putting those items back up after SSK and between SSK and stitches, just because we are going to need so much overstock. We're hoping for stitches that it takes a lot. I got done with all the gradients and mini skeins and mini skeins too, and fiber and sock blanks, and I was like, oh, I could take a breather for like a week, and that's because I'm at the retreat, and then I've got to start all over again. So actually, I might be starting some new gradient sets before we leave for ZK, just to kind of get ahead of the game. So just fair warning on that. We've got to watch our inventory. We've got to have things for in-person shows. For what we pay to vend at some of these events, we've got to make it worth our while and not show up for five skeins of yarn and be like, this is our booth, you know. So the other thing I wanted to mention, I announced it on Instagram and Facebook yesterday. I got official notice that everything was posted. Leading Men Fiber Arts will once again be vending at Vogue Knitting Live Chicago in October. Vogue Knitting Live Chicago is happening. There was some talk, I know, at YarnCon about whether it was happening or not. They hadn't posted anything. It'll be October 2nd through 4th at the Palmer House Hilton Hotel in downtown Chicago. So we're excited about that. We're a little worried about truck and trailer situation with downtown Chicago and how we're going to finagle that, but we'll have to get used to it, I guess, huh? And I need to take a look at a few other possible vending opportunities this year. I mean, we're doing a lot, so we'll see. So I'm excited to say we'll be at Vogue. So if you were there last year, we'll see you there again this year. If not, it's a good show. And they're having some bigger names. Malabrigo is going to be there this year. So Stephen B will be back and everything. Speaking of shows as well, Stitches, I did have a conversation with the event coordinator from Stitches yesterday. We now have our booth number. We are booth number 901. Unfortunately, we were last on the list. They do a seniority thing of how many Stitches events you've done. We were very, very last on the list. So I had about 6 different options, and it was either 901, which is actually kind of our same position at YarnCon, totally different venue. But when you walk in and go to the right, we're all the way in the corner, all the way up front. It was either that or several different options in the back corner. So I was like, kind of like the right front corner. Worked well for us for YarnCon. We'll see how it works for Stitches. I don't know. But you can come visit us. 901, that's where we'll be at. All right, quickly, I wanted to show you a few skeins we updated to the shop. The shop will remain open through Monday, say like noonish. Monday afternoon when Andy gets home from work is when we are going to put everything up in the garage and then load it up into the trailer. So you got another 48 hours, a little less, in the shop. So quickly on Ghostlight, our lace weight base, we put up some Bahama Mama. We don't do a whole lot of variegated laces, but when we do, I think they come out pretty. On Box Office worsted weight, we have some Popeye's Delight. On Showstopper, our 75-25 fingering weight superwash wool nylon, superwash merino nylon, we have some Envy. Some Venetian Sunset. That's truer to color than the hat. On, excuse me, my voice is going. I don't talk a whole lot during the summer, except to the dogs, Andy occasionally. Box Office, we have some Ain't My First Rodeo. London Fog on Box Office as well. Oh, 2 more. On Spotlight, which is 80% superwash BFL, 20% nylon, 400 yards. Fingering weight, we have Royalty. You can see that beautiful high twist on Spotlight. This is great for socks. And on Showstopper, we have a couple skeins of Reconditioned Punishment. This is where I'm going to be working on the sock head hat on at the retreat. So that's all that I've updated to the shop. I will not be updating anything more. We have tons of more stock that we did not have room for, nor the time to update. That will be coming with us to CK. So, like I said, if you've seen us at an event before, think double the amount of stuff we usually carry. We realized we could really potentially fit that much, and why not? Especially since we don't have to tear everything down and set it up. We can wheel it right in. So we're hoping to have a nice factory line going during setup with Andy's mom, possibly Callie's mom, to go roll it out of the trailer, roll it into the room. But because it's in the Marriott this year, we'll have to take it up the elevator. But it's all on wheels, so it shouldn't be too hard. So that's it for the shop. If you like us on Facebook, that'd be great. If you like us on Ravelry, Leading Men Fiber Arts, that'd be awesome as well. Follow me on Instagram as Leading Men Fiber Arts. Your
Calsters88.
And if you're watching the show, you can watch it, of course, through dramaticnets.com. You can watch it on YouTube, subscribe to us there, or you can watch on iTunes. I have stopped uploading to Blip. It is just one less step that I can cut out, and we were only getting like 15 views a week. So, if you've been looking for me on Blip, I'm sorry. I just decided it saves a little bit of time on my end, so that's that. So, until 2 weeks from now when we have our ZK recap,
We hope you
knit something dramatic.